Hi there. If you've ever had the thought, I guess this is just the way that I am, I'll always be this way, and I guess there are some things about myself that I just have to accept. If you've ever had those thoughts, I want you to know it doesn't mean that you're stuck. It means that at some point your brain and your body took steps to keep you safe. And in this video today, I'm going to assure you that change is absolutely possible. And just because you haven't figured out the how yet, it doesn't mean that it's outside of your reach. Today, I'm going to talk about exactly how those behaviors got what feels like cemented into place, and how trying and trying over and over again, which you may have done, has left you exhausted and drained and possibly feeling worse about yourself. I'm going to share a bit about my own journey and talk about one of the many things that I've been able to shift completely. And by the end, you'll know that you also can uproot any long-standing behavior or mindset. But first, my name is Erna. I'm a transformation coach currently experiencing my own transformation, and I provide a healing roadmap to people who are convinced that life has got to be better than this. In my coaching, I guide clients step by step through a process that teaches them how to become their own healer. Because if you can be in the driver's seat of your own healing process, your life will drastically change. I've been studying inner work and manifestation specifically for over 20 years. I know this path. And now I have enough permanent results that I want to share with people who are also looking but don't want to do all of that guesswork. And today, after I share a bit of my own story, I am going to get a little bit technical when explaining exactly how those beliefs and mindsets came into place. And then at the end, I'm going to share how it's just a matter of taking the same path out to uncreate or to remove those same patterns. So let's dive in. As a kid, I had very low self-esteem. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I was broken and I just couldn't get anything right. I was always on punishment. That was a joke amongst my cousins. Where's Erna? She's on punishment again. I didn't believe I had any internal value. And one of my core beliefs was, I'm not enough the way that I am in order to be loved or encouraged or invested in or paid attention to get attention. And so one of the ways that my mind protected me is I developed strategies to try to get that attention. I would perform. Let me say the funniest thing. Let me wear the best outfit that I can find. Let me make sure my hair looks good. I did a lot of externalizing of my value because I didn't feel like I had it on the inside. It wasn't there internally. And so it would be about, you can judge me if you want, but it would be about, look at the kind of house I grew up in, or look at the kind of cars my parents drove, or what I got from my birthday. Behaviors that are very difficult to love and have compassion for, but that was me. And that was me trying to protect myself, trying to get the investment and the care and the pouring into that I needed. So I projected a lot of my worth onto those external things. And I like external things. I like nice things, but I leaned into it in order to use it as a strategy to get my need met. I thought I was a screw up, and I thought it was permanent. And I didn't know at that time that change was absolutely available. I didn't have to be like that for the rest of my life. How do we get like that? How does it show up? We certainly don't ask for our traumas and those strategies and those wounds. We didn't sign up for them. People don't, babies aren't born coming out of the womb saying, hey, mom and dad, please teach me this. Hey, caregiver, hey, teacher, hey, elder sibling, please teach me this. No one sat us down and taught it to us. What happened is we had repeated experiences that taught us that strategy was the best way to survive. We didn't just one day up and decide. You experienced a series of events that repeatedly taught you in your young mind that doesn't have access to all the logic and all the context that adults have access to, and you created a strategy to keep yourself safe or to make sure that you got your need met. One of my former mentors used to say, it's not who you are, it's what you learned. And if you learned it, then you can unlearn it. And so if you know that we didn't learn it mentally, if you know that we didn't learn it by someone sitting you down and teaching you to have this wound, to feel insecure, to be selfish, to feel like a victim, to not feel lovable, to not trust your feelings or be vulnerable. No one sat you down and taught you that. And so that's not how it came in. So that's not how it's going to come out. One of my favorite quotes comes from Dr. Gabor Mate that says, trauma is when you have too much emotion plus too much aloneness. So when there's big feelings for a child or for a young person or a teenager, and there's nobody there to explain it to you. So children can actually handle a lot. They can handle a lot of big news. The thing that anchors them in safety is having a caregiver or a trusted older person, a trusted other, explain to them what's going on. And so, yeah, that young, tender version of yourself is still learning how to be a human and how to navigate life. You don't have the ability to piece together exactly what's going on. For example, maybe you've experienced this when you were younger and you made a mistake and someone yelled. And every time you made a mistake, someone would either yell at you or give you that disappointed look, or you just felt like they were looking at you like you couldn't get it right, couldn't get it together. And so in that moment of the yelling, for example, what you were feeling was a bunch of big feelings. And because there wasn't someone to sit you down and focus on skill building or education so that you don't make the same mistake again, because you just face the consequence each and every time, you learned that it wasn't safe to make mistakes. And in that moment, your still forming subconscious did not think, well, I did my best, I'll try again next time. No, it developed something that sounds like, I can't get it right. Maybe I don't have what it takes. I can't quite do it. You have that repeated experience over and over again. You make a mistake, you get yelled at, big feelings, and that child's mind that you have pieces together the explanation of what could be going on and a strategy to protect you for the next time so this won't happen again. And those unexplored feelings, those unexamined feelings are still there. They still linger in the body and they pop up later in adulthood. So what just happened? Not only did a belief form that possibly says, I'm no good, I don't have what it takes, I can't succeed, but also all manner of behavior also formed to protect you from ever feeling that way again. So for example, perhaps you don't take as many risks. Maybe you never initiate or go first. Perhaps you don't explore your hobbies the way you maybe would have liked, maybe the way that you want to. And there's all kinds of opportunities and maybe at your job that you don't take because what if I make a mistake? What if I don't get it right? And so something that you did not choose to learn and to step into and to believe happened to you in your formative years, and it stays with you well into adulthood. A lot of people are born, live, and die with the same beliefs they learned as a child because they didn't know and or didn't have access to tools to uproot those beliefs and to change those beliefs. And they didn't know that they could explore and uncover and get curious. And so they felt that maybe that's just the way that they were. Friend, if that's how you feel, that this is just the way that you are and you don't have any choices, again, I'm here to tell you change and the transformation that you're looking for is 100% available to you. Keeping with this example, imagine you've grown up and now you're an adult, and in the back of your mind, those thoughts in your subconscious, they're playing of I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. It's not safe to make mistakes. And you've done your best to create this mistake-free life. And you've subconsciously organized scenarios, relationships, your job, different parts of your life, all around keeping that safety and making sure that you have this mistake-free zone. Until one day you're in a relationship or you're at your job and you inevitably make a mistake because we're all human. And it triggers those same feelings of rejection and shame that you've been working so hard since you were 5 or 6 to protect yourself from every time you made a mistake. Those same big feelings you felt as a child, you felt they were sadness, they were shame, it was rejection as someone was yelling at you for making a mistake. You've now made one in adulthood, and even if they calmly say, hey, I think maybe you missed this, it triggers those same choking feelings those weighty, big, uncomfortable feelings of I'm not good enough. And you're transported back to that time. Because what is a trigger? A trigger is a reminder. It's an echo of something you've experienced in your past happening now. It's unresolved. Those big feelings you had when you were alone and no one to explain it to you, they're still there. It's unexplored, unacknowledged, and they're still controlling things. So you see, formed in childhood on into adulthood. But if the quote is, it's not who you are, it's just what you learned, and if you can learn it, you can unlearn it, I want to talk about that unlearning. But first, I want you to keep something in mind. What I'm about to share about unlearning is not a substitute for coaching. This kind of deep work where you permanently and fully uproot a behavior that's been a part of you since you were a child, that has to be done with the assistance of an expert, at least in the beginning. Because I'm telling you, if that were not the case, I would have laid out all my tools on YouTube years ago. But there are certain things like safety and connection and pacing and integration that can't be replicated through a YouTube video or through a post. And anyone telling you otherwise isn't giving you the full picture. But what you can do is listen to what I'm about to share with an open heart and with a heart to receive, because that's what allows the universe, the divine, to step in and guide you to what your next steps are. Because any kind of change always starts with believing that a thing is possible, is available. So if you didn't learn it mentally by someone sitting you down and talking to you, if you learned it through experiences that created feelings, then that's also how it leaves. That's also how you uproot. And so I say in almost all my videos that all of your emotions are accompanied by sensation. And it's also why I harp so much on how mindset work and affirmations and thought work, it's so fleeting. That's above the surface level. You need to go beneath the surface to the level of sensation and feelings, because that's where all of this stuff lives. Those beliefs, they abide in your subconscious. They live in your nervous system, which is connected to your subconscious. You didn't mindset your way into this. You nervous systemed your way into this. And your nervous system shows up with sensation that also communicate emotions and feelings right on top that can be recognized. And so that's also why I focus a lot on learning how to feel your feelings. It's the foundational building block of being able to see permanent changes. And I made a series not long ago. You can find it in a playlist if you want to get started in learning how to feel your feelings. Because once you do, you'll have the biggest hurdle handled, the biggest, most important part of healing work under your belt. Because if those beliefs and those mindsets live in the subconscious and are accessed through sensation, and they express themselves through sensation, through your feelings, then it's a matter of knowing how to bring them up in the right way, in a safe way, to the right audience, in a way that is effective, that uproots and brings them out the same way that they came in. And that is how I know, and that's why I've constantly experienced, along with my clients, that healing is permanent. Because the healing is actually the real you. The trauma and the strategies that you've laid over it to protect yourself over the real you, those are a band-aid. Those are a shield. And you can uproot that shield to reveal the real you that is strong, confident, kind, loving, full of self-respect, deeply lovable, deeply worthy of people's attention and interest, and fully capable of creating and experiencing the life that you've always wanted. That is the real you. So back to my personal journey, everything came to a head for me in 2020 when I started experiencing panic attacks. I got myself some help. I got some coaching, and I was able to immediately see just how much I was ignoring my feelings. The thing that we all have, the signals that we all have that were designed to let me know what my boundaries were, what my interests were, what the direction for my life should be. I was ignoring all of that. After that, after I got some help and some coaching, I went on to create some tools that rested on my ability to recognize those beliefs, those limiting beliefs, and those traumas so that I could bring them up and permanently clear them. And that's what I did. It took a while. I was by myself, but layer by layer, I peeled back the layers of that wounding around not being good enough. And now I think I'm the best thing since sliced bread. I'm sharing my gifts publicly with the world, which is something that I never imagined I would ever be doing. Who would ever want to hear what I had to say? But I'm doing it. I have gifts that I put away and tucked aside in my younger years as an attempt to get my needs met. But they are there. And none of that would have been possible if I had stayed at the surface and tried to think my way and mindset my way into a new reality. I had to go into my own soil, rearrange those roots, put some new roots down, and then automatically I can't help but be someone completely different. And that's why going beneath the surface and working with your subconscious and your nervous system through your sensations and feelings is permanent work. So the process of healing is actually restorative. You are restoring the real you back into place. Things happen to you in your formative years, and you learn things that still inform how you live your life as an adult today. That's not your fault. Think of it this way. The wounding is temporary, while the health is who you actually are. And that wounding or the mindset, that behavior that you just want to get rid of and be done with, for goodness sake, think of that as a thick layer of dust over a light bulb. You and that light are the light bulb. And sure, that dust is obscuring the view right now, but with a good shake of deep inner work, the light begins to shine out, and the real you that feels all of a sudden strangely familiar, even though you've never been able to be that way your whole life, it sets into place, and that's what starts coming out of you, because now that's who you are. You are not a screw up. You are not your wounds. You may have made some mistakes, but it's not a permanent condition. Let that sink in. There isn't anything wrong with you. Every disempowering thing that you've ever done, that you maybe continue to do, is something that you learned, and it wasn't your fault. And if you could learn it, you can unlearn it. The transformation that you desire is absolutely 100% available. So take this phrase with you as you move throughout your day. Change is available. And then come back to this video whenever you need grounding in that truth. You don't have to share what's coming up for you right now, your thoughts and your feelings. You don't have to share that in the comments, but you are certainly welcome to do that. I would love to read it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.